This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Life Transformation Radio is heard in over 90 countries. Thank you for joining us from all around the world. Whether it's your first time joining us or you've been listening to Life Transformation Radio for some time, I want to personally thank you. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose, and we celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today, well, he does just that. Today, Alan Klein and I discuss a few things to help you get more awe and wonder in your life. If you want to learn to focus on your positive emotions and diminish your negative ones, so you can find more awe and wonder in your life, this is the show for you. Alan Klein, a.k.a. Mr. Jollytologist and the Ambassador of Light, shows audiences worldwide how to use humor and positivity to deal with life's not-so-funny stuff. He's an award-winning professional speaker and author of 30-plus books, including The Healing Power of Humor, You Can't Ruin My Day, and Embracing Life After Loss. His recently published book, The Awe Factor, was named one of the best spiritual books of 2020 by spiritualityandpractice.com. He is also a TEDx presenter on the power of intention. Alan, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
It's great that I'm meeting Mr. Action. Meet Mr. Jollytologist. Here.
I know. I love it. There we go. There we go. Well, I love it. I hear the awe part. I always think of shock and awe, but I love the awe and wonder. Let's just dive into it. What exactly is the premise of awe and wonder in your life? It sounds great. Sign me up. I love it because there's a lot of stuff going on right now that is really stressing people out.
Right. Exactly. The awe and wonder is all around us. And I think we think it needs to be like going to the Grand Canyon or seeing Niagara Falls. And that may be nice, but you don't have to do that. You can, right where you are, if you just look around. I realized this morning I grew some tulips in my backyard. And one of them is an all-white tulip. And then at the bottom, it has these shooting red, like lightning strikes. And this morning it opened up and I looked inside. I didn't think I'd see this, but there was a yellow center. And I thought, this is amazing. And I told my daughter about the tulip yesterday. We always talk at 5:00 since COVID started. It's one of our ways of supporting each other. And so we talked about this tulip, and she said, "Oh, Dad, I know about that tulip." She's been in Amsterdam several times, and she said it's a Rembrandt tulip. And it came about because it was growing in some town, and they had this aphid infestation. And it caused the tulip to create this red pattern in the bottom of white tulips. And so I was thinking, out of kind of what the town was thinking was a disaster, that, we can't grow these tulips anymore. Here has come this amazing tulip. So that is like an awe moment, and so those things are all around us. If we just open our eyes, look and listen, and get closer. One of my things is, get as close as you can to things because you see things differently, like the yellow inside of the tulip. You don't see it from the outside. So that's one little thing about awe. I mean, yeah.
No, I'm growing tulips right now from the
Oh,
bulbs, and
uh-huh.
they're so beautiful. I have a purple one, and then I have this fire one, and it is true, and it has brought so much joy to be able to grow these in my house. It's been really, really very awe and wonderful. So yeah, I think that's very, very important. I guess it would dive more into almost like the mindfulness.
Exactly. I think awe creates, if you can get into awe and looking for awe and wonder, it is a kind of mindful exercise that you're paying more attention to the world around you. And yes, the world around us is not so great right now, but we can put that in the background for a moment and stop and look at the wonderful things that are around us. I remember I had a great teacher who once said, to want what you don't have is to waste what you do have. To want what you don't have is to waste what you do have. Isn't that great? So I try to remember that every day. Yeah, there's COVID. Yeah, there's war going on in Russia and Ukraine. I say my prayers. I send my love and hope and prayers to the people of Ukraine and other people suffering around the world. But I also put that in the background a while to keep myself healthy and level and not as stressed out as I could be if I sit and worry about all that every day.
Exactly. You have to stay in that present moment. So, Mr. Jollytologist, and so this is Life Transformation Radio. So there had to have been a transformation of where that name came from.
Right. So it started a number of years ago. My wife Ellen was in the hospital with a rare liver disease. And she had a copy of Playgirl magazine with the male nude centerfold. And she said, Alan, I really like this picture this month.
She just looked at it for the articles, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. She said, this is a hunky man. Put it on the bed by...
Burt Reynolds did a centerfold in Playgirl magazine.
Right.
And he became quite famous after that, more than he already was.
Yeah. This wasn't Burt Reynolds. It was, I don't know who, but she liked it. And I put it on the bed. And I said, but Ellen, it's a little risque for that. Why don't you get a leaf from the plant and cover up that part? And I did that. And things are fine for the first day, fine for the second. But the third day, the leaves start shriveling up. And Rob, we came home from the hospital and we would just mention that or think about it or look at another plant in the house. And we would start to laugh. And I realized at that moment, it wasn't a lot of laughter. It was 5 or 10 seconds. But again, it put that stress that we were going under, the illness she was going through in the background for a little while so that we can get the laughter. And it felt really good and it helped revive us and it gave us a perspective on a situation. And that's that moment that I realized how vital humor was, even in loss and death and dying and grieving and illness and terminal illness, how important humor was to help us rise above our situation. So that's when I wrote my first book, The Healing Power of Humor, which is now in a 40-plus printing and a 9th foreign language translation.
Congratulations. That's awesome. And then you have 30-plus books. That's amazing. That's really, and then your congratulations on being the best spiritual book of 2020. That's, there's a lot of spiritual books out there, so kudos to you, my friend.
It was one of, not the. One of. There was a group, but it was a small group, and I was shocked when I got the announcement because it's not something I applied for or had on my to-do list or my wish list, and it just appeared, and so it was wonderful.
You're making an impact, and the universe rewarded that impact that you are making. Yeah, humor is so powerful. My father died right before Thanksgiving, and he was a crotchety, just a cranky man, and he died He died at 91 years old. So he had a full life. I got to tell you, the joy I had the most was he got really irritated when kids were around. He just didn't like rambunctious. Your kids are too rambunctious. What a crazy word that was. But it was hilarious because I was there with my daughter at Thanksgiving and I had all these kids over. My very dear friend, Melissa, and her partner, Drew, were here, and Duncan, and just the kids were there, and they were rambunctious. They were running around the house and just being kids, right? And the whole time I was just busting up laughing. I'm like, if my dad was here, he would be losing his freaking mind. And it was just so great because I was mourning the loss of my father, and it brought such joy to think of his just, I would think, very unreasonable reaction, because there was a 5-year-old and there was a 9-year-old and there's a 2 teen boys and then another boy. And, it was a lot. And it was super fun just thinking of how cranky he gets when he was around kids. And it was just really funny. I just thought it was hilarious. And it made it a lot easier to go through Thanksgiving to realize, hey, my father passed, and it was just really nice. Humor is so important. And I love what you're doing because it does make an impact.
And you're honoring him by talking about him, by acknowledging, how he might be in that situation. You're honoring, even though he was cranky. My dad.
He was cranky.
No, he wasn't cranky, my dad, but everything, he always saw the glasses half empty. I mean, one of the funny things I remember, they had just moved from New York to Florida, and the light switch wasn't working in the bedroom. He'd try plug things in and the lamps wouldn't go on, nothing would happen. And I said, Dad, call maintenance. And he said, well, you never know when they're coming. And I said, Dad, I started laughing. I said, Dad, you're always home. What difference does it make? When they come, you'll be here. And so I started laughing at that. And then day I left, packing my suitcase, it was a bit dark in the room. So I went to the wall and put the light switch up, and all the lights went on. There was nothing wrong except he never put the main light switch on. And so I started to laugh again because he was like every day complaining about it. And here it was, one simple solution.
It sounds like my dad. Yeah, everything was negative and stuff, and that's just who he was. So my dad was my dad, and that was my dad. But it's comical to talk about all the stories of how upset he used to get at all the holidays.
Yeah. I used to be really, growing up, particularly as a teenager, really annoyed that my dad was so negative. Everything was terrible, Had to park the car miles away from where we were going because nobody should scratch the car. And, always, no matter what it was, he was negative. And I used to be really annoyed.
Did he do the thing? Hey, did he do the thing where I never saw the end of anything at all because we would go to the Surf Fest? Come on, we got to go before we got to beat the traffic. Every baseball game. Come on, we got to go to beat the traffic. Did he do that too?
Kidding?
Oh my God.
Well, my dad, he would do a test run. Right. My dad would do a test run so that he would know, like a week before, come on, let's, do the test run to where we were going. So that he would know how to get there. But he was, I was so negative all my life. And then as I was getting older and he was getting older, I really realized how grateful I was for his negativity, because I would always do the opposite of whatever he did or said. So I became very positive, and So I was grateful for him. I start, being really grateful, and it turned everything around, realizing that my positivity comes from my dad's negativity, and that I should be grateful for that, and which I am. So. Yeah.
That's amazing that you say that. That's exactly the way that I feel. That's exact because I'm pretty positive. I'm pretty, pretty chipper. I love to laugh and I love to find the good in others. And he didn't do that. So I guess I'm grateful for how negative and just unhappy he was.
Yeah.
Because I'm a pretty happy guy. It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, so let's talk about your book a little bit, The Awe Factor. I want to dive into that a little bit more, since it is one of the best spiritual books of 2020. Are there some practices that people can take to get more into the awe factor?
Well, I have three of them. One is intention, that during it, when you wake up in the morning, maybe, okay, this is going to be a great day. I'm going to find awe and wonder today. So as you look at stuff, you look at your dog, you look at the garden, you look at in other people's eyes, you look at a baby, whatever it is, that you're going to find some awe and wonder. In fact, my TEDx talk is all about 5 steps of getting what you want in your life with the power of intention. So that's, I use it here too, to find more, or to get more laughter in your life, whatever it is, put out your intention. And people sometimes think, oh, that's kind of crazy. Well, that's the way I've lived my life. I wanted to be a scenic designer. I got kicked out of Yale Drama School. I became a scenic designer at CBS for 10 years. I wanted a Victorian house in San Francisco. I have a Victorian house. But I put out my intention. I put stuff on lists that this is, I have a vision board, all these positive things to draw that energy towards me. And I know people think it's nutty, but it happens. Some of my books were a division of Random House. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so I just want to give an example. I had about 8 books, quotation books, that a division of Random House had put out. They did really well, 400,000 copies. And then they were closing that division. Nice. And I got the rights back for a year and a half. I tried to sell them to other publishers. Didn't work. So I did this 3x5 card. I just let it go. 3x5 card, talking about intention. And I put the perfect publisher will find me. So I just put out my intention that stop struggling, put out your intention, the publisher will find you. And I went to a meeting of publicists, book publicists, people that publicize authors' books. And I sat down, and 2 women behind me, I heard them say to the man talking next to me that they have a very successful publishing company and they're looking for uplifting, motivational, inspirational books. And I turned around and I said, I have 8 of them that have been very successful. And that was like the awe moment they said, show us your books. And they start printing those books. And I've since gone on to another publisher with them and more books. But the big thing for me about the intention is they got too big for their little office. So they had to move somewhere else, bigger office, had a big party. And this woman comes up to me when I walk in the party and says, Alan, I know you. I own this publishing company. I live in London. You don't see me a lot. And I've known you for many years. And I looked at her. I said, I don't know you. She said, for over 10 years, I lived across the street from you and would see you walking your dog every single day. The perfect publisher found me, because of my intention. And sometimes it takes time, right? It doesn't happen overnight. But I kept putting out, that I'm looking for the perfect publisher, and it happened. So we were talking about ways, steps to getting more.
Yeah, what are some of the steps in your talk?
Well, be curious, and we were just talking about a little of that with kids. They make us laugh, but they're also very curious. And I remember one day sitting at a cafe with my dog, and this little, I don't know, maybe he was 2 years old, year and a half, was awe thing for him was my dog's tail. And it would brush his face and he would laugh and he would try to grab it and the dog would turn around. He couldn't do it. For 10 minutes, he was in awe of his dog's tail. And so I think if we're curious, be like a child, Zen says, beginner's mind, If you look at the world with beginner's mind, you're going to find the awe and wonder in it, because everything will be like a new look. And then we talked about looking closer, at anything, and you'll see the wonder in it. So those, intention, be curious, and look closer are three of the things. I have more in the book, but those are three of the main things I think to getting more awe in your life.
So in regards to vision boards, how can someone go about doing that? They're like, I don't know how to do that. Is it just putting up a piece of cardboard and writing and taking, pictures off the internet or out of a magazine? Is that pretty much the way to do it?
Well, that's part of it. It could be anything people want, but so what is it you want? Suppose you want a Victorian house in San Francisco, as I did. So you look for Victorian houses, you paste it on a board, maybe you write some notes, exactly what you want. I did this with a country house. And I gave the agents, it wasn't so much a vision board, but I gave the agent 30 things I wanted in a country house. And he found one for me that had like 25 of those things. There's something about, so you can create it visually, which is more powerful than just in your mind or verbally. So you can put pictures of Victorian houses, what the rooms would look like, how the paint colors you would do it, as specific as you can, what street it might be on, or city, or just keep that. I think one of the keys is to keep that vision in front of you all the time. So you could add to it, you can take things off of it if it's not something you want, and just it's kind of putting what your vision is out in the world. And then what I find, some of those things come to you, or you get, I believe in 6 degrees of separation there. We all are separated by 6 degrees to someone else. So when I wanted to march a Macy Day parade in New York City, because I used to live there and see or work on the parade every year at CBS, and now I'm in San Francisco, I put a notice on Facebook. I wanted everyone who might help me get in the parade, and one person did. So again, that's like a vision board on Facebook in a way, just putting a picture up of the parade and saying, I want to march in it someday. So I think it's intention. There's so many,
With all the negative that's going on in the world, how does one focus on the positive when they are just this morass of negative that's coming at them all the time on social media and the news and TV and friends? How does someone learn to focus on the positive emotions and block out those negative ones?
Well, again, going back to being grateful for what you have and not for what you don't have. To be grateful every day for the things in your life. So those negative things of what's going on. COVID, I start doing a list of all the positive things because of COVID. So one, I said my daughter calls me every day at 5:00, and we still do it and chat away. I'm amazing. Wow. Some days I go, Sarah, I have nothing to talk about today. And 35 minutes later, we're still talking. I had neighbors. I never realized what incredible neighbors I had when COVID first started. They would go shopping, food shopping for me. And if I want, one woman even, it was a food run at Costco. And she said, they didn't have what you want at this Costco, so I went to another one. I mean, that's how incredible these people were. And so I was so grateful for that, even in times of COVID. So just start every day, put down some things you're grateful for. So you're focusing on the positive stuff in your world, not the negative. So that would be one thing.
Yeah, gratitude is so important, really so important.
You know, and we said some of this sounds, well, it sounds cliche-ish. It sounds like this is stupid. Why there's a war, going on in Russia and Ukraine. Why am I writing little things that I'm grateful for in my life? How is that going to help? First of all, it's going to help you because you're putting, as I like to call it, putting the war in the background, and you're focusing on more positive things and being grateful for those things in your life. One of the things I realized, the more I'm grateful for stuff in my life, the more things come into my life for which I'm grateful. So
that's
thankful.
That's beautiful. Say that one more time.
The more I'm grateful for the stuff in my life, the more stuff comes into my life for which I'm to be grateful. Something like that.
I love that. Well, if you want to learn more about Alan, you can visit his website at alanklein.com. He is an incredible guy, and I really want to thank you, Alan, for being here today on Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you. That was great fun. It seemed to be 10 minutes of chatter, but I see the time. It's 11:30. Fabulous. Thank you, Rob.
Time flies when you're having fun. Absolutely. And thank you so much for your support and taking time out of your busy and precious day to listen. We so appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me, along with my very special guest, to touch your heart, move your soul, and inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio.
Download complete.